Now the big Dr. Insano fight, which was a fairly long time to shoot. If I recall, an entire morning was dedicated to this. I think it was about 3 or 4 hours of shooting that was actually dedicated to this whole fight sequence altogether. I don't really have much to say about it because I wasn't here for a lot of, I wasn't there for a lot of it. I was outside with Brad talking movies as per usual, and yeah. So every so often, to give you an idea of how loud Spoonie can get it, I'm not surprised it really kills his lungs, just because we're outside in the back, and occasionally, whenever Spoonie would be like, yeah, we hear that outside the house. So that was kind of a bit of a running joke, because whenever we'd hit, occasionally when it would get loud, just like, well, they must be having fun in there. I was kind of a bit surprised at how many. Some people just didn't like the idea of. Well, not they didn't like the idea. It's just that they didn't like the execution of this fight scene. But I think it kind of makes sense because we didn't have a lot of props to bring, and I think you can probably tell from the video. It's a tiny, tiny house. I mean, you can't just go doing massive special effects sequences. I mean, I'm amazed that we managed to fit about 20 people in this house, because this kitchen in particular is tiny. In the script, that's another ad-lib. Originally, in the script, that said, that just had me screaming, but I can't scream very well for a long period of time. There's something wrong with my throat in that. I just can't do it. In the script, it says I run into a wall, but as you can see in the kitchen, there are no walls to run into. So what I had to do is essentially just trip over. And I had to be careful tripping over because, again, tiny kitchen, and I had to be careful not to hit my head on the sink. So that's how that worked. You've got to remember the logistics of this were not in Doug and Rob's favour. I mean, you had this harsh, unstable desert landscape, and you had this tiny bungalow house that makes my bungalow look like looks like a giant mansion by comparison. So you can imagine that it's quite tricky trying to get 20 people to try and shoot something like this. And it's even more difficult to stage a fight scene in something like this. But I think they did a commendable effort, given, like, the logistics of their surroundings.
Eagle 1, this is Test Monkey 2.
I don't know.
The MC is down. Repeat.
What I'm also surprised at is, I think Rob was surprisingly, given how injured he was, and given how nasty the leg wound was, I'm surprised at how... Also, at the, just how dedicated the camera work was. Because remember, you gotta fit the camera guy in there as well. But I think they did a commendable job, given the circumstances. What else is there? Oh, I did a little bit... You've seen this in the Warrior 2 and 3. I did a little bit of playing of Dr. Insano. It was quite fun. I think I actually wore the Dr. Insano jacket, and I wore a pair of black goggles. And I think we did that on... we actually shot this the same day as this, if I recall correctly.
Whatever happened to the purity of unarmed combat?
It was quite fun to do. I think my Dr. Insane... I prefer to... I believe Linkara called him Insane Brain, but I was referring to him on set as Dr. Film Braino. Again, another terrible pun, but never mind. Oh, I love this. Just the dialogue just right out of Street Fighter. Just right out of Street Fighter. It's just brilliant.
You do realize you're just standing on your tippy toes, don't you?
But you've got to remember, I think this is as far as the logistics of the house concerned, this is probably as big as you're going to get when it comes to action sequences, because again, this is someone else's house. You can't go into someone else's house and start trashing their stuff. You can't do that. So we really try to be careful not to trash any of their stuff. And obviously if you're in a fight scene, you can't go around jumping into walls, throwing things at each other. So when you're watching this fight scene again, you've got to take that into consideration. Coming up here is the Santa Christ scene. Again, I'm amazed that Rob was up for this, because the costume is so heavy. The costume is surprisingly heavy. And given that he was already injured, walking around with a fairly bad limp, that I'm amazed at how game he was for that performance.
Wait, it's not its fault! What? Well, maybe somebody put him up to it. What are you talking about? Nothing, he's done.
Ben's letting the game away, naughty, naughty.
Someone conspiring against me? Gave you that idea.
But the real reason the Santa Christ bit sticks in my memory is because it probably granted one of the most memorable responses on the set, because when I do the Santa Christ no thing, I don't think anyone was expecting me to just do a completely off the cuff change in tone. Just because it's just such a radical change of tone, just hey guys, what did I miss? Santa Christ, no! And here he is, boom! Dead. Anyway, I don't think anyone was counting on me to do that. And every time I did it, the whole room would just crack up, and I wasn't even aware. I was just... I think there was like a second or two where I was just looking at the whole room, just laughing at me, and I was just like wondering, what am I doing? What am I doing that's so funny?
Santa Claus?
Because I was completely oblivious to how funny this was, apart from the fact that it cracked Doug up. If there was any little disappointments I had, and this is so minor, so nitpicky and so minor, if there's any misgivings I have, it was... I don't think that was the best Santa Christ no I did. I think my first one was probably better, but the problem was Doug, who was doing the camera work, he was laughing so hard. In fact, you even see that in the final version. He shakes the camera a little bit because he was laughing. On the second take, and I'm hoping to see this in the blooper reel, I go, Santa Christ, no! And I see, here it is, and I see Doug laughing, and it just set me off, just because it was just, I'm a bit of a giggler at the best of times, and so just seeing Doug just go in front of me, so I literally just went, Santa Christ, no!
We can bring him back to
That's probably a priceless blooper somewhere. I'm looking forward to seeing that one.
But do you dare try?
That's crazy, Tom.
Do you dare try?
My motivation in this scene was
People. Let's show what it truly
that hand, by the way, right here. That's my hand, by the way. Yeah. I think this might be the first time you've seen me in HD. Given my terrible hair at some points in some of this is probably not a good thing. Yeah, I'm essentially just like a great big kid, and I was just like, I believe in Santa Christ, I believe. Just like, I really want to believe in Santa Christ. I'm trying to be all happy because I just want Santa Claus to come back. There was some flack for this, but Mike J. Yeah, there was some flack about this, but I think if you're watching this as a movie, it's less distracting, and I think it's an appropriate payoff as well. Because I know a lot of people were kind of angry that they didn't see some of their favourites. Like, I know a lot of more cynical fans were angry about the fact that Mike J wasn't there, and I was there representing the Brits instead of Mike J. But at the same time, I think they deserve even a little tiny cameo in the spotlight. I think this might also be a callback to several other Disney movies. I think if you're not familiar with this sort of thing, I think the joke is kind of lost on your beat. But I think if you're too familiar,
That did nothing. Toss him.
it's just a strange thing. Just because I know a lot of people complain about certain people not being in it, and then when they appeared, it was just sort of, no, it's too much. I can kind of see where they're coming from, just because you have this cast. But I think it would kind of be a shame if it was just us, and even if it was just us, and if it was just us, and we didn't have any cameos. Oh, and here's Linkar. Linkar in the Starfleet uniform. When he did his transformation, I saw that the first time in the rough cut. That kind of took me off guard because I was kind of surprised by that. The rough cut was interesting to watch just because there are some missing special effects, like Dr. Smith wasn't there. But the fun thing about the rough cut, excuse me, was the temp score. I played an amusing game of guess the temp track, because a lot of the score was music lifted from other movies. So there's a lot of Lord of the Rings, and probably the one that sticks in my mind was when we're during the first attempt to invade Kickassia. The score in the background is actually Mars Attacks. The coming up now is the Board James cameo. Obviously, James Rolfe was always going to have a cameo in this. Just, I think people were waiting for this moment. Some people were disappointed it was not the Angry Video Game Nerd. There's sort of a reason for that I can't divulge, as well as the fact that I think it works better not being the Angry Video Game Nerd, just because.
I thought so.
I thought you needed dice for this.
Do you?
I don't know.
And obviously, you can't have Angry Video Game Nerd running around there again, because Doug hasn't done that feud in a while, and because I think it's much better that it's just a low-key cameo. It just works better in terms of the story, just because you've got so many characters running around already. And I think if the Angry Video Game Nerd was shunted in, I don't think that would work. I think this is the first time I've actually seen the Board James with Persona. I'm not really a big watcher of James Rolfe. I mean, he's okay, but I'm not really a huge. I'm more of a Channel Awesome guy, if I'm being totally honest.
That's all there is to it.
Hey, that's good enough.
Nicely lampshaded.
Thank you for the obligatory cameo.
Anyway, whose turn was it?
And coming up here is my heel face turn.
We're planning a strategy.
Oh, but this game is so much more fun, though.
We're planning a takeover.
And I tried to play this convincingly. This is the one time in the whole thing where I'm actually trying to play the character straight. I wanted the character to be shaken to his core by the death of Santa Christ. I think this is probably my best moment in the video. But what I'm trying to do there, in that shot there, I wish I. Admittedly, I looked dejected, but I think I wanted to cry in that shot because the script called me to be in tears. So before that, I was really trying to get myself to tear up, but I couldn't do it. It's a weird thing, I just can't get myself to tear up on camera. So I'm kind of fake crying there, but I think this is probably my best performance in the video. Just simply because I think some of the cast members were legitimately thought I was miserable and upset. I recall Lord Cat. I want his freaking head! Lord Cat was asking me, "Are you okay, dude? You look really miserable." I'm like, "I'm acting!" I think I only did the one take of if I recall correctly, I could be misremembering, but when I do the whole I want his frigging head, that kind of surprised Doug, just because I don't think he was expecting me again to be that angry. He's just like, "Whoa, dude!" But I think I kind of hit that one out of the park so much that I only did the one take of it. Whereas a lot of times there was 2 takes, but I don't think I was actually asked to do a lot of repeat takes. I think Doug kind of accepted the way that I was interpreting the character, and I think he liked the way I was interpreting the character. So it was quite infrequent that he would ask me for a retake of something, which made the production process a lot easier, I think. Before I forget, it was actually Juwario's birthday as we were shooting this. So on day 2, I believe everyone went out and we all had this little birthday party, little birthday dinner for Juwario. Oh, I should mention, and again that harks back to that whole camaraderie thing that I keep going on about. Just everyone being together. I mean, it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, by the way. Juwario is just such a wonderful person to be around. He is so friendly and so nice. If I know some people are complaining about how short the ending was, and there is a reason for that. It was kind of, we were running out of time to shoot the ending. The ending was a lot longer in the script, but it kind of boiled down to the fact that we had to get this done. Like, even if we pared it down to the most basic elements, it would have to be like this. We had to, if we had any hope of completing this, we had to get down to the barest essentials, especially towards the end. So it was essentially just the hat, Santa Christ, and that's it. That's all we had time to shoot, because we were getting to the end of our location shooting. I think it also probably works better when you're viewing it in context of the work as a whole. I think because, as you probably already know, we shot this in with the intention of releasing it in 3 parts, not 6. So I think if you're viewing this as a whole, I think that the fact that the ending is quite short isn't as noticeable when it's as a whole. But because you've got a day to swallow it down, it kind of made people probably raise the expectations a bit more than it probably should have. But hey, hindsight is a bitch. I should probably talk about this time the flight back, just quickly. As I've already mentioned, the initial flight back was with Lindsay, and then the flight time, but the gap between flights was 45 minutes, and I was panicking about this throughout the whole time. There was one thing I really wish was on camera. When I say you're a twerp, I wish that was on camera, but again, really minor misgiving. There was only a 45-minute gap between flights, and I got a bit nervous about that, just because, again, connections, never flown before. But believe it or not, I managed to get there quite early. I managed to get between terminals in about 20 minutes at LAX, which surprised me.
How dare you return from your banishment dump?
But the flight back was a bit annoying because, just because it was flying I had to arrive at 6 AM in the morning, but it was more the plane. I just can't sleep on a plane. For some reason, I just couldn't shut my noggin off. So again, I was up for quite a long time, but it didn't matter. I mean, this was a once in a this might be a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, and I absolutely loved every single second. Every person, every 3 moments was just wonderful. I cannot be more grateful to Machad, Ellis, Doug, Bargo, who everyone involved at Channel Awesome. Thank you a million times. I really love this trip, and I am in your debt, sirs. I truly am. I managed to arrive about 6 AM local time in the UK. Massively jet lagged, as you can imagine. What was it? It took 50. The night I went to bed. When I went to bed, I slept in the afternoon, but when I went to bed that night that I arrived back in the UK, I actually one lame aspect of my performance. I'm the pair of feet back there that's not connecting in any way and sort of half-assing it. In retrospect, I probably should have just kept my foot there. Stupid me. But I slept for 15 solid hours. Like just completely solid. I was out. Just to give you I just went to bed at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't wake up until about 3. I don't think I've ever slept that long. But that kind of gives you an idea, if you've never travelled before, of the amount of jet lag you suffer. Oh, and speaking of which, Rob has actually been to the UK before, and he dissed the UK. He especially dissed the British cuisine. Mushy peas. I will not let that stand. I will not let that stand. He described it as being radioactive gloop, and I was just like, no! Mushy peas is awesome. And hell, I have misgivings about America, like your portion sizes. Your portion sizes are immense. Your portion sizes are crazy. In all the time I was in the US, I think I only completed 1 or 2 meals. I don't, just because the portion sizes are immense, and I just get halfway through a meal and I'd be full. It really, if you've never been to America and you're from Europe, it might be a bit of a culture shock just to see how big the portion sizes are. I know it certainly was for me. And the Santa Claus scene. I have a really embarrassing story to tell about this part. Because we were told to wear battle gear, I was wearing a really loose-fitting pair of jeans. Oh god. And the first time I ran up to wear Santa Christ, the first time I ran up to hug Santa Christ, my jeans dropped down, so everyone in the room watching got a massive dose of my arse crack. And that's a sight no one wants to see. And I gotta love my overacting in the background of that shot there. I think the funniest moment was when it was just after my realisation. Just like, Doug was like, okay, you might have to do that again with a bit less crack. And then she was like, can we put that shot in? Oh god, it's so embarrassing. Now you must be wondering, where do I disappear to? Well, of course, the answer to that is, I'm playing Othello! Where else would I go? It's not like I went off camera and didn't stay in my position, like an idiot.
He's right. Let's give Mr. Ball's land back.
I mean, I'm playing Othello. Me and Lizzie had a lot of fun playing Othello. In universe, of course. I was just standing off camera. But if you want to see me do a magic trick, I do it in a minute. I do a very impressive magic trick. One that I wasn't even sure that I knew I could do. But I do it.
Joke's on you, moron.
Oh, the dynamite thing. Because of, I think 8-Bit Mickey said, you are aware that, you could have died? And Cinema Stop's like, what? Did you even know which wire to cut? No. And there was sort of an exchange like that, but again, because of restraints, because of the dying light, we couldn't film that stuff. We just literally had to pare it down to the basics. What you'll see in a minute, the magic trick I'm referring to is again an editing blooper caused by me, and probably the most glaring continuity error in the entire thing, for which I apologise to Doug, because it's entirely my fault. In a minute, you will see me seemingly disappear behind 8-Bit Mickey into thin air. I'm standing behind 8-Bit Mickey, and then suddenly, in the next shot, I am gone. Oh, we actually shot this on the first day, which explains some of the costumes, because some of us didn't get changed into the gear. I changed into my gear though, because I'm good like that. But even still, even me being good does not avoid a glaring continuity error. The glaring continuity error is coming up in a second. Try and keep track of where I am in this sequence.
And so all are departed.
Come on, where are you? I'm waiting for it.
Over the nation. Good night, you princes of mayhem, you warriors of virtue, the beauty of the world, the paragon.
Yep, there's me in the background there, behind.
The winter of their discontent.
No, I'm behind 8-Bit Mickey. I'm not behind 8-Bit Mickey.
To suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
I'm behind. I don't know where I am in proximity to 8-Bit Mickey. I'm behind 8-Bit Mickey again. And poof! I've disappeared into thin air. Where have I gone? Well, of course, the answer to that is I teleported back to England because my mission was done. And with that, I shall end the commentary. Thank you for listening to my inane blathering for 90 minutes. I'm sure it's been fun and revealing. Most likely not. But, once again, thank you to everyone at Channel Awesome for giving me this wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I cannot stress enough just how great an opportunity this was. Seriously, best time of my life. Great people, great times. Just amazing. I am truly speechless. I love you guys. I love everyone at Channel Awesome. I love the people that follow me, and I love everyone. I love people. Well, I love the fans anyway. People. But thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and maybe, just maybe, I'll see you again next year. Who knows? I certainly couldn't have predicted this last year. And good night, or good day, or whatever it is in your time zone. I've been Filmbrain. I've been Filmbrain. Thank you for listening. Bye.